सर्वमेकं विज्ञाय तत्त्वतः वीतरागभयक्रोधं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम्।
नाहं देहो न मे देहो
जीवो नाहम् अहं हि चेत् एवं विज्ञाय सन्तुष्टम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम्। समस्तं कल्पनामात्रम् आत्मा मुक्ता सनातना इति विज्ञाय सन्तृप्तं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम्। ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं कामसङ्कल्पवर्जितं हेयोपादेयहीनं तम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम्। स्वभावेनैव यो योगी सुखं भोगं न वाञ्छति यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम्। नैव निन्दाप्रशंसाभ्यां यस्य विक्रियते मनः आत्मक्रीडं नित्यं जाग्रदवस्थायां स्वप्नवद्योगतिष्ठति निश्चिन्तं चिन्मयात्मानं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम्। द्वेष्यं नास्ति प्रियं नास्ति नास्ति यस्य भेदज्ञानविहीनं तं जडं पश्यति नो यस्तु जगत्पश्यति चिन्मयम्। नित्ययुक्तं गुणातीतं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम्। यो हि दर्शनमात्रेण भवते भुवनत्रयम् पावनं जङ्गमं तीर्थम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम्। सर्वपूज्यं सदा पूर्णम् अखण्डानन्दविग्रहम् निष्कलं निष्क्रियं शान्तं निर्मलं परमामृतं गणेशपुरिवासिनं योगपूर्णं तपोमूर्तिं वेमपूर्णं सुदर्शनं ज्ञानपूर्णं कृपामूर्तिं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम्। दुर्जनः सज्जनो भूयात् सज्जनाः शान्तिमाप्नुयात् शान्तो मुच्येत वन्देभ्यो मुक्तशान्यान् विमोचयेत्। स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्याय्येन मार्गेण महीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी शस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोकरहितो ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप् भवेत् सर्वस्तरतु दुर्गाणि सर्वो भद्राणि पश्यतु सर्वकामान् वाप्नोतु सर्वत्र नन्दतु। स्वस्ति मातरौ पितॄनो अस्तु स्वस्ति गोभ्यो जगते पुरुषेभ्यः विश्वं सुभूतं सुविदात्रं नो अस्तु योगे वदृशे ॐ शांति।
आरती करूं सद्गुरु की करूं, सद्गुरु की प्यारे गुरुवर की।
आरती करूं गुरुवर की, आरती करूं सद्गुरु की प्यारे गुरुवर की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की। जय गुरुदेवा अमल अविनाशी, ज्ञान रूप अंतर के वासी। जय गुरुदेवा अंतर पग पग पर देते प्रकाश, जैसे किरण दिन कर के। आरती करूं गुरुवर की, आरती करूं सद्गुरु की, करूं सद्गुरु प्यारे गुरुवर की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की। जब से शरण तुम्हारे आए, अमृत से मीठे फल पाए। जब से शरण तुम्हारे मीठे शरण तुम्हारे जाए जाए, कल्प वृक्ष तरु पर की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की, सद्गुरु की प्यारे गुरुवर की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की। ब्रह्म ज्ञान के पूर्ण प्रकाशक, योग ज्ञान के अटल प्रवर्तक। ब्रह्म ज्ञान के जय गुरु चरण सरोज मिटा दे व्यथा हमारे और की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की, आरती करूं गुरुवर की। अंधकार से हमें निकाला, दिखलाया है अमर उजाला। अंधकार से हमें निकाला, तब से जान जान रहे थे, भाग सुनो दर दर की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की, आरती करूं सद्गुरु की, करूं सद्गुरु के प्यारे गुरुवर की। आरती करूं गुरुवर की। संशय मिटा विवेक कराया, भवसागर से पार लंघाया। कर कर दे निजा दूर सतन की आरती करूं गुरु आरती करूं आरती अवेद बताया आवागमन विमुक्त कराया वेदो वेच अवेद बताया आवागमन विमुक्त धन्य हुए हम पाकर तारा ब्रह्म ज्ञान निरंतर की आरती करूं गुरु आरती करूं गुरुवर की करो कृपा सद्गुरु जग तारण सतपथ दर्शक भ्रांति निवारण करो कृपा सद्गुरु जया ओ नित्य ज्योति दिखलान पाले लीला धर के आरती करूं गुरु आरती करूं नित्यानंद सद्गुरु दाता कृपात गे दिव्य प्रदाता मुक्तानंद सद्गुरु दाता कृपात गे दिव्य प्रदाता कर के वास गणेश पुरे भववादारले जनकी आरती करूं गुरुवर की आरती करूं सद्गुरु के करूं सद्गुरु के प्यारे गुरुवर की आरती करूं गुरुवर की ॐ चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमातीतं निरञ्जनं नादबिन्दो कलातीतं तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।
Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.
Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday morning Satsang with Gurudev here at Shanti Mandir, Walden. As most of you know, Gurudev was on tour to Argentina and to Mexico for the last 4.5 weeks, and it was quite a trip. He went there after an interval of about 8 years. So you can imagine the feeling, the longing that was there in all of the people that we saw both in Argentina and Mexico. And of course, everyone kept saying, please don't ever make it this long again. So there was a lot of a lot of emotion. So if I had to sum it up with a few words, I would say being in South America is being in the lap of the mother. Love, amor, the chanting, darshan, prasad, and the longing and the thirst for the Guru's presence and for the teachings and for the knowledge. So, and emotion, and that's the other word, emotion. Can't forget the word emotion, because there was a lot of that. And tears, and the tears, I'll go into that in a second. So arriving in Buenos Aires with a quick stop, a halt in Panama, which is always the way Copa Airlines goes, so you have a halt there. But when you're out there, and again, you're flying, the friendly sky is way up there, and you land in some of these places, it's like, where are we? It's like it feels like we're so far away. Far away from what, right? Far away from here. So we landed in Buenos Aires, and we had a welcome program there. And again, the thing that was very clear, besides those things that I just shared right now, was also after 8 years, many people looked different. A lot of people had aged. A lot of people had issues and health situations. So there was all the people that we've known for so long, and that's known to the Sangha and a known community. But then there was also a lot of new people. So we had kind of this like A plus B, and it was just like the feeling of both of that in the audience every single day was very welcoming, inviting, new and old friends. So that was that. And then we all went down to Rosario, where there was a huge tent that was erected in the backyard of one of the devotees down there, Ignacio, who we have all known for many, many years. His family allowed this whole thing to develop there. So basically, it was an ashram for the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Was it 2.5 weeks? 2.5 weeks. And so there it was morning satsang every morning. And I'm talking like our Sunday morning satsangs here. A full morning satsang, so basically 10 to 1. And then in the evening, there were evening programs. And the thing that, it's like when you come back, it's like you're collecting all these experiences and all these gems and all these jewels. You put them in your pocket, and then you have all these imprints of all these embraces along the way of the tour. And then you come back here where it's quiet, you start settling in, and then a flood, all of those things, those memories, all of those experiences, all of those interactions start to rise. And as they rise, it's like you're just feeling it all over again. Because when we're in it and of it, it's all so thrilling and so magnanimous and so full. And at the same time, there's all the logistics around it, so we keep moving, we keep moving, we keep moving. But when you come back to the silence, the purity, the quiet, the sacred hub, it all manifests all over again. So, and so Gurudev told a lot of stories. And of course, two of my favorite ones was the bowl of cherries, which many of us have heard before here. I don't think I was here the first time that was done, so when he said it, I kept saying, you have to say that one again. That was so good, the bowl of cherries. How many cherries do we have left in our bowl? Referring to time. Then there was another one about the 1,000 marbles and the jar of the 1,000 marbles and how you keep taking one out for every Saturday. And he did the math and shared the math of how many Saturdays from the time that we're born till the time that we pass, how many Saturdays do we have? And how do we want to spend them? And it was all about, I don't want to say it all because then he can share them all here too. So the morning programs, the evening programs, we also had Gurudev's birthday down there. We had Baba Muktananda's Mahasamadhi program there. We had a Diwali puja to Lakshmi, which was just extraordinary. I don't know where all those people came that night, because every single day there was, many, many people for the morning, for the evenings. The darshan lines were like unbelievable. And I remember so many times looking across the room where Kelly Lodice was sitting, and our eyes would meet and we would just start crying. Just crying, crying, crying. And the tears were just the feeling, the devotion of how everybody took the experience of darshan, the length of time, the way they pranamed, it was all of them. And the chanting, of course, as I've always said, is just, it's the sky is open. There's no roof on the buildings. It's like they know no end, and everybody chants, and that just, the expansion of that is just so far, so wide, no measure, and so that was just beautiful. I mean, of course, because I love it, so it's just was like always an opportunity to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and so we had a lot of that all the time. And then Gurudev, then there was also a time when he gave a talk at the Ayurvedic conference, which was a congress, and that was one morning, so we all got in vehicles and went to the University of Rosario, and there was a whole panel of people up there, and so Gurudev spoke on Ayurveda and the meaning of it all and the practice of it all, and then there was a whole bunch of other people up there who spoke. And then we got back because we had to go back to Satsang. And God, what else? It was just nonstop. So we had the whole experience of that. Then Gurudev visited homes. We also looked at real estate. We looked at properties. We were just busy with the whole ashram routine. And then we had a group from Kamal's group from Tandil who had come. So they all did a whole chanting session there. Also, the online study group of the Saundarya Lahari, they also, we had one morning where all the different students who have been participating in that, we had everybody stand up and share what they've been acquiring and imbibing and learning from that. So that was also lovely to hear. And so many of them, again, with 8 years in between, they rely on the Sunday morning satsangs, both here and at Magod. They rely on the online study groups. But there's not, and they do their personal study, they all have their practices, the sadhana, but the feeling in the room every single day was just like, as much as Gurudev could give, they were just, the next day they would be like completely wide open again. And it was just watching Gurudev give so much, share so much, present so much, and and I just kept saying to myself, wow, at Shanti Mandir Magod and Shanti Mandir Walden, we're so fortunate that he comes twice a year for a length of time. It's not just like a week, it's not just like 10 days, but it's like we get the length of that and the depth of his presence, and I just kept saying, we're so lucky, we're so lucky, we're so fortunate. Take advantage of it. Time is going. People are getting older. We're all climbing the staircase towards eternity. And it's like, let us absorb, immerse ourselves in all the practices and all the teachings and not let a minute slip by, but to make that effort. So that was that. And then prasad, whenever you go there, it's like every time on the darshan line, there were all these trays would come out with all these individual prasad balls. And I would be like, wow. And I remember that from before, because I remember putting those photographs into a video. And it was like they all roll them together. There's a whole bunch of people out there. They're rolling all these balls, nut balls and coconut balls. And every time, then we'd bring it up to Gurudev and say, which one do you want? And he'd be like, well, I'll try that one today. I'll try that one today. And then they'd go on to the darshan line, and then everybody would share in the prasad. But again, the feeling of just offering and giving, and the the rhythm there is just so palpable, tangible. And so we had all the stories, all Gurudev's analogies. And then in the evening, we'd have the evening programs there in this erected tent. And again, it was every day, all day, starting very early in the morning and then all the way till the evening, like 10 o'clock. So, and then that Lakshmi Puja. On that night, and again, they don't have a lot of the items or the things that we're all used to seeing, and so we're trying to gather things from different people's homes and trying to bring it all together so that we could even have a puja, right? And that night, the tent was like absolutely packed, and then all of a sudden there was like all these other people outside, and I kept turning around, and I was like, God, all these people, it's like, and everybody was like sitting out, there was a swimming pool out there, so, and it was like, hopefully no one goes over in the swimming pool, because there was just people everywhere. And that night was just magnificent, glorious, and seeing everybody totally still, totally quiet, right? Totally still, totally quiet. No movement, just completely, again, listening, contemplating, digesting all that was there to be taken, there to be nourished. And then we also visited many, many homes, and their love and longing for the Guru, and to hear that eternal wisdom. Every single day they would just say, wow, those talks, Gurudev, how and he would speak for, I have to say, over there, I think, and I kept saying that, I think you're a magnet for drawing Gurudev to go longer and because the talks were like, that wasn't just because of translation. I think the talks were very, very long and full and complete and perfect. And I think it was just Gurudev going to, every time we would leave and go back, he'd be preparing all over again for the evening, preparing in the morning, it was like constant. And then we came back to Buenos Aires, and we had intensives there. We had a huge dancing sapta in a ballroom, and of course South Americans, they love to dance and everything, so we had to always keep reminding everybody, we go in one circle, or a couple of circles, but everyone goes the same steps, because otherwise it can get like, and we're kind of more traditional, so it's more about keeping everybody with the oneness of everybody going together, and reminding everybody, even as you dance, make sure you chant, because otherwise everyone stops chanting, and then there's just a few of us trying to do the call and response. So that was beautiful, magnificent, and it was just lovely. And then there was an intensive on brotherhood and how to, basically the teaching of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, to see the entire world as your family, and the need to know God, and why we want to incorporate that. So Gurudev spoke about that. So we had two intensives. One was in Buenos Aires and one was down in Rosario. And both were, again, everybody seated quietly and just focused and wanting to go deeper. I just remember that over and over and over again, wanting to go deeper. And so many people kept saying, I can't believe it's been 8 years. I can't believe it's been 8 years. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, imagine that at Walden or Magode. Haven't been there for 8 years. I was like, our good fortune. And then after the whole tour, and then there was another group, we also did a bunch of group pujas. So there was a large group puja that was in Buenos Aires, and then there was also a large group puja that we did down in Rosario. And the other thing that was interesting too was that one of the times in Buenos Aires at the very end, there was a lot of people who wanted to have private darshans with Gurudev. So Gurudev said he didn't really agree, but it was like, can we try to put together some private darshans? He was like, yeah, okay. So we went there at like 3 o'clock and didn't finish up, I think, till, was it 7 p.m. or something like that? It was like 4, and so they were all like 15 minutes. So there was like a whole line, a waiting area, and then Nicheshwari and I were there. She was translating, and then the three of us were in the room, and we would watch every single person who would come in. And I have to tell you, the thing that was so amazing, I have a couple of memories of that. The first one is a lady who walked in. She had a bag. She put a gift in front of Gurudev. She took her asana out. She sat it on the ground. She pranamed. She sat. She said, I have no questions. She said, I just want to sit in your presence for the next 10 minutes. And she sat there, eyes closed, and that was it. Just sitting there, total silent, meditating in his presence. And I was like, wow. Then, most of the people, or at least I would say probably like at least a quarter or half maybe half the people would come in and they would say, I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you. Your visit they were just so moved and so touched. And so those people didn't even ask a question. And then most of the other questions, whatever was left of that, the balance of that was questions about either children who had, the parents of children who had handicaps or autism or couldn't speak, or real things that they were trying to come to terms with, or aging parents and how to deal with that. All of the things that come to all of us, but different troubles and worries, and just said, all I want is just blessings so that the road opens and there can be clarity on how I should approach that. So it was just, even that whole section for those 4 hours, just watching it all, hearing it all, was just astounding and something to, again, take home. And then after the whole tour in Argentina, and of course the request for an ashram there, which we're working on, we headed down to Mexico. And I would have to say, so in Mexico City, as we know, many of those people come here. And again, I want to say with the Argentinians, many of them go to India, and many of them come here. But then there's the broader expanse of that, where economically it's not possible. So the only way they get to see Gurudev is on Sunday satsangs or on YouTube, or when Gurudev goes there, which had been 8 years prior to. And then, so when we arrived in Mexico, that visit was punctuated, I would say, with all evening programs, and then also morning satsangs to all these different devotees' homes, to many of whom you know. And some of those were at a ranch, some of those were at a big hacienda, some of those was a tent in a backyard, a collaboration with Synchronicity, with Master Charles's work down there, and a program all together in a tent down there at Luis Javier's place. Then also Gurudev went to a school with this whole school project, that there's like 42 or 45 schools where they do meditation, where they've actually gone into the schools and done meditation programs with the children. And so this one in particular was the first school. And so we all went there, and they all did a big welcome there, and then Gurudev, and then all the kids out, and the parents and the volunteers and the teachers were all out in a huge ground, and then they all wanted to meditate. So then there was a whole thing of everybody just quietly meditating there. And then they've also established something called peace classrooms. So these peace classrooms, they've made these one classroom in each school. They've only have a few of them now, but the goal is to get one into each of these 42 schools. And they're peace classrooms where we all went in, and then we sat down, and then Gurudev led us in a meditation. But usually they have the headphones with Master Charles's technology. And so they put that on, and say a kid, say at school, where children are acting up, they'll send them to the peace classroom. But they also send them there 3 days a week for meditation. And so that was like a whole thing to see that, how it's like really like mainstream in a bunch of the schools over there. So that was really, really beautiful, and that's led by a woman named Sophie. And then And then we also had we would leave the house like every morning, like say around, God, what was that, like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock sometimes, 10 o'clock, and then we wouldn't come back till like 9, 10 in the evening. So it was like we literally had to take all of our things for the evening program and garment bags and all of that because of the Mexico City traffic. So you have to organize yourself in a whole different way. So that was something, we've done that before, but it was a reminder of like, oh, wow, so much traffic. If we're on the south side, there's no way we're going to be able to go home and get ready and turn it all around again. So so we did that in many, many homes. And then the evening programs, we had 2, again, a university, ULA. So that was wonderful evening programs there. And because of the Gurudev's visit coinciding with Dia de los Muertos, we had, which is the Day of the Dead, all of the programs and all of the talks and the topics were about death. So Gurudev gave one talk that was called Understanding Death. Another one was called A Graceful Death. And then at the retreat that we had, the whole focus there was also on that. So Gurudev spoke about how to live a peaceful life and how to live a peaceful death. And so all of those are being worked on so that we can upload them to YouTube and then everybody can listen to it. But I think people were amazed and just said, we've never heard it presented this way. We've never heard, and Gurudev kept saying, because of the fear of death, nobody wants to discuss it, nobody wants to talk about it. So it's something that we just it's a stigma. And by doing that, we keep pushing it further away instead of, so on one of the announcements that I said, I feel like Gurudev in those days, in that time there, it was like replacing fear with understanding. And so everybody was like everything was still so joyful, but everybody kept reflecting on that and contemplating their own death and contemplating the process and then asking in the question and answer sessions more questions on all of that. And then we also, when we went to the retreat place on the Sunday, which was the actual Day of the Death, the holiday, on November 2nd, what we ended up doing was we had the puja by Navinji and Prabhu, which was the one that we've done here, which is the ancestors, the honoring of the ancestors. So we had a huge rack and a whole puja set up. And actually, everybody in Mexico, every house we went to, they had all these altars where they do the same thing like how we do here. You put the favorite foods of the deceased, you put the favorite things they love, like some even had like a beer bottle there. That was their favorite beer. This one had coffee. That one had, other sweets and foods, but very elaborate. And then all decorated with marigolds, big marigolds. They have so many marigolds. So we got a bunch of those for the program. So there was the marigolds. There was all the candles and all how they light it all up, and it was just stunning. And so then Prabhu and Navinji led the puja there, and they call it like a tarpan puja. And there was definitely like 150 people sitting in the room, all just with all the pictures up, and then everybody got to come forward and then put flowers and all of that. And it was just beautiful. We had a dancing sapta there. We had an intensive there. So it was just, everything was, just one, as we all know, one experience after the other. And you just keep taking it all in, keep pondering it all, contemplating it all. And I don't think I have anything else. Does that kind of cover it? Does it? And then we flew back. Yeah, and then we flew back. Did I miss anything? Okay. Thank you all. Sadhgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.
Muktanandaya Gurave Shishya Samsarahadine Bhakta Kavye Kadehaya Namaste Chitsadatmane Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidanandamurtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahe Tejas Vinavaditamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahe Om Shanti 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 Sat Gurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. With great love and respect, a heartfelt welcome to everyone. Many thanks to Divyani for that wonderful update. It was 8 years to Mexico and 6 to Argentina. And as somebody told us in Mexico, Master Charles would say, the hearts of the Latin Americans are open. I won't say the second part. And so in the last few years of Master Charles's life, he spent a lot of time in Mexico City with a dear disciple friend of his who was, as the young daughter said, has no filters. Because I said to her, how do you live with him? She said, I manage. But as Divyani shared, and just watching our world and society today, and listening to a spiritual leader from India who shared that what the world needs today mostly is called a Sadbhav Peeth, a goodwill ashram, or goodwill ashrams, if we may call that. And somebody else who was a speaker, also a Supreme Court lawyer in India, said, if all spiritual organizations could come together minus their ego, if all spiritual organizations come together minus their ego, that's a tall order, minus their ego. Because each one has his or her own ego. And that so much could be achieved by everyone just coming together. And that's what this month in Argentina and Mexico was, just people who came together. Because even in Baba's lineage, as you know,